Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line.
Yes,
a legend
indeed.
in this game. We have Havoc. Havoc, what's up, brother?
What's up? Good morning, y'all.
How you quarantining, King? You good? How the family? Everybody safe, healthy?
Yeah, everybody's safe and healthy. You know what I mean? Thank God. You know what I mean? I want to send a recipe shout out to Fred the Godson.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, so right now we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the infamous. So that's a huge, I can't believe it was 25 years ago.
I know, it's crazy. It's like I'm trying to wrap my head around it right now, like 25 years. But that was a pretty interesting 25 years.
Let's talk about the creation of that project because, you know, Mobb Deep went from this kid group that was young and fun to this. How do we get to that area right there? Because it was a total change, and New York loved it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, back in the days, before we became Mobb Deep, we was Poetical Prophets, trying to get a deal. Time was Fall from Broadway. Did a record that didn't do so well. And then luckily we met Steve Rifkin. And when we did that, he gave us like full creative control. And we was able to really, you know what I'm saying, zone in on who we really was.
What did Steve Rifkin see in y'all
was-
back then? Because y'all didn't have that sound, right?
Right. I mean, the sound was like, it was there, but it wasn't complete. Like, you know what I mean? And I guess Steve Rifkin saw in us like, you know, raw authenticity. You know what I mean? Like two kids from the hood. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know, he was feeling the vibe.
How instrumental was Q-Tip in the early days, too? Because I know Q-Tip had heard you guys, and he was pretty involved with the infamous also.
Like, we knew Q-Tip before we even got to Loud. You know what I mean? So we used to be chilling with Q-Tip. And when we finally got to deal with Loud, we was, he offered to, you know, come to the studio and help us out. And, you know, that was a blessing because, you know, I looked at Q-Tip like a god. Like, you know what I'm saying? As far as the production was concerned, like Tropical Quest to me was like one of the best groups of all time because the production was incredible.
As far as Q-Tip, did he really help you out with like production, as far as teaching you what you needed to do? Because I know you started producing also.
Yeah, he did. I learned a lot from Q-Tip. Like, so when he would be in the studio, instead of me like asking him mad questions, I used to just watch him, really, just watching what he was doing. And I would emulate that later, you know, when he wasn't in the studio with me. So, you know, mainly like, the drums and stuff like that. I used to just, you know, try to emulate what he was doing.
Where did that sound come from, though? Because the sound was really, to me, what shifted, you know, the Juvenile Hell to the infamous. Like, where did that sound come from? Like that hard, gritty, dark.
All right. It came from the scratched up broken records on my floor in my bedroom in the projects, like straight up. Like I used to just have a bunch of vinyl sitting around on the floor, scratched up, walking all over them, and just got lucky with a few samples, you know, and sampled it, and you know, because I was more attracted to the dark sound. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't because you know in the projects it wasn't really a happy situation, so it wasn't like I was gonna make these happy records, you know what I'm saying, party records and nothing like that. So I just was going along with the atmosphere and the mood that, you know, I was in the environment.
Now let's talk Shook Ones. How did that song come about, and the production, the beat, the lyrics? Because that is probably, if you talk about some of the biggest records hip hop ever, that has to be on that list.
Man, I mean, you know, I just was sitting in my room, you know, just working on tracks while everybody was outside having fun. And you know, I put a couple of records together, and one of the records that I came across was this obscure Quincy Records joint. So I sampled it, and I sampled it on the keyboard, and like kind of went down the keyboard and played with it a little bit. And I didn't really think too much of it. But then, you know, when the fellas came in the crib and they was listening to it, they was like, yo, this is, you know what I'm saying, it's crazy. And I was like, whatever. And then, you know, Scotty and all of them, Matty C, they was like, yo, you should do this, like, you know, the remix to the first Shook Ones that we did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know that inspired the title of my second book, Shook One.
Yeah, I love it, yo. That was dope when I saw that word, man. But
I think he owes you a check, Hav. I think he owes you a check.
Well, I was embracing it.
Yeah, that trademarks.
I was embracing it from the perspective of me being the shook one growing up.
Yeah. Not so. Your book, when you were speaking to what's it called? You know, just that whole vibe of being shook and all of that, and because I have the social anxiety. You know what I mean? So I fully understood, you know, the title of how you was using it.
You deal with social anxiety, Hav?
All the time. You know what I mean?
Hav never come outside. Hav is an introvert. Never comes outside. You never see him. You don't really see too many interviews with Hav. Like Hav is not.
That's why I love this one. I'm at home. I'm chilling. You know what I mean? So,
how did you deal with that growing up, though? Because I mean, you came up in a hostile environment.
You know, when you growing up in that environment, you just got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's better that way, because when you have the comforts of being able to hide from it, then you don't confront the problem. You know what I'm saying? So living in the projects, you deal with that head on. And then it was kind of hard for me, you know, saying getting into the industry, because you got to go out and you got to shake hands and be social and stuff like that. And, you know, I used to be mad awkward. I consider myself not an industry person, really. You know what I mean? Like, I'll go to, you know what I'm saying? I'll go to the parties and all of that stuff, but I'll be just fiending to leave. You know what I mean? But I managed it.
Yeah, I don't like those.
I was just saying how I used to see you guys out at the tunnel every week and see you guys, you know, you and Prodigy at parties all the time, and y'all used to be lit every single time with 1 million people with you.
It was crazy, man. You know, all the Hennessy and all of that crazy stuff, and a lot of fights going down. But I mean,
a lot.
You know, that was you know, part of what it was, you know, back then.
Did you have to get fucked up just to be out? Like drink the liquor, smoke the weed just to be out?
Drink away the pain.
The self-medication was real. You know what I mean? Like, man, listen. You know what I mean? Because if you have social anxiety, you know, you start to self-medicate. You know, you start drinking, and a lot of people is probably dealing with that, and they don't even know it. You know what I mean? They go out all the time, they drink, and they just like, oh, I'm partying and I'm drinking, but really, in all actuality, they trying to probably escape something or ignore something.
Now, for
when did you realize it was social anxiety?
I didn't. You know, I always just thought I was like shy or something like that. You know what I mean? But you know, I sat down with a therapist a few times, and you know, they kind of let me know what it was, and I was kind of surprised. I was like, for real, social anxiety? I was like, well, you know, that makes sense.
Word.
Now, for people that don't know, how did you and Prodigy get up? Because you guys are not from the same place. So how did y'all meet up, and how did y'all become this group, Mobb Deep?
Oh, we met back in high school, like in 1989. You know, I was a sophomore, he was a freshman, and he used to just be walking around with all his jewelry like a little slick Rick. You could hear him coming down the halls. And he was a mutual friend of somebody that I was friends with. And then we all just kind of came together and hung together, and he rapped, I rapped, and we figured that, you know, let's make a group.
You know what I was going to say probably didn't help your anxiety? All the beef that y'all was involved in, like the New York, LA, and so early on, too, in your careers. You know,
y'all wanted that beef, though. Y'all wanted that beef.
You came for it.
All day long, you know what I'm saying? Like, anxiety don't got nothing to do with the beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, the beef is going to be, you know what I mean? If it's on, it's on. And plus, you know what I'm saying, we was representing New York, you know what I mean? So you got to kind of push all of those kind of personal things to the side and, you know, just get to the forefront and do what you got to do.
Did it feel real dangerous to you back then? Like, did it feel like, you know?
Dangerous. Nah, very dangerous. I mean, y'all know, you know what I'm saying, Tunnel Night, you know what I mean? The Muse, all of that. It was wild, like the Wild Wild West, but in New York.
Did your therapist help you have? Do you still go, or?
No, I haven't been lately, but it definitely helped me. You know what I'm saying? I know the stigma that comes along with everybody, you know, thinking that if you see a therapist, like you're crazy or something like that. But it actually helped me to recognize what I was going through. Because, you know, just for a long time, like I told you, I just thought I was just regular, plain old shy. You know what I mean? But to be diagnosed with social anxiety, it made sense. And it did help me, you know, moving forward, deal with it. Like
Now for
trying
that,
Now
to get
you
out of my head.
now for that
you
first
guys were
album,
oh, go ahead.
you had everybody on there. You know,
Hmm.
Raekwon, Ghostface. You had Nas of Q-Tip. How did you have those relationships with all those artists so early?
Well, Raekwon and Ghostface and all of them, they was label mates. You know what I mean? That didn't guarantee a feature. So I mean, we had a natural bond with them. Nas is from QB, from the hood, from the same hood, and I think just doing good records like Shook Ones, it kind of brought attention to the situation where people was like, they some serious contenders, and they was willing to help us out and jump on the album.
When you jumping into one of these versus battles, I keep seeing your name pop up. I know. So I know you've been seeing it a little bit. People want to know when Havoc gonna jump into one of these versus battles.
And I saw you said you wanted to battle RZA.
Oh, who, me? Nah, no.
Mhm.
I don't want to battle RZA. Nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I spoke to Swiss. I was like, yo, what up? You know what I'm saying? I'll battle anybody, whatever. Just on some, like, friendly stuff. And I spoke to Al. And, I don't think it would make sense for me and him to battle because we from the same crew. I'll
So
be
close
battling
knit, yeah.
Alchemist, yeah.
like he'll be playing a record that I was on, then I'm trying to beat that record. Like, so it wouldn't make sense. But I would love to battle somebody.
Al came up under you though, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, he came through after, but he got some magnificent records.
Mhm.
Yeah, you would have to
Definitely
battle
did.
somebody from New York with that sound. I can't see you battling anybody because I don't think other people would really appreciate it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? Like I said, again, his records that he'll play, if Prodigy not on it, I'm on it, or we on it together, and I'll be throwing a record against that. Like, I ain't, you know what I mean? It wouldn't make sense.
How did you grieve Prodigy, my brother? Like, was that a hard process? I mean, I'm sure it's still hard, but
Yeah, I lost a brother young in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? So I was kind of familiar with a loss that close. The way I just grieved with it privately, you know what I mean? Like in the crib and, trying to, uphold his legacy as much as I can, you know what I'm saying, with Mobb Deep. It's tough, man. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I can't believe it. When I listen to his records, it's kind of crazy, but I don't think you ever get over it. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. You like grieve in a positive way. Like, so, just moving forward, just trying to remember him and, honor him.
Now, at
You
one
know,
I'm
time,
sure
the
it's also
group,
I'm sure it's a blessing to you that you guys didn't have any issues, like,
Yeah.
that y'all had resolved everything that had happened in the past business wise.
Yeah, it was strange because a few months before he died, we had gotten a little bit more closer than we ever were. You know what I'm saying? And to myself, I was saying like, like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like I got my homie back from like 1989. That's how close we was getting. And
Right.
then he just passed away. You know what I mean? It was just really weird. We was grocery shopping together. Like, when did we ever do that? You know what I
Right.
mean?
wow.
And he passed away like the next few days.
Now,
Now wait a
how
minute.
did,
How do y'all end up grocery shopping together now? Is that a phone call? Like, yo, I'm about to pull up to the grocery store. You want to come?
No, because weeks before, me and him had got on this like kind of like health regimen. You know what I mean? Where we was like, eating like more healthier foods, just to make it simple. And when he went to Vegas, we both got there. He called me. He was like, "Yo, let's go to Whole Foods," and we just went to Whole Foods. That was like the first time that we went shopping together. But prior to that, we was on the phone discussing, different foods and what food is good for you. And that was amazing to me because we hadn't been that close in a long time.
Mhm.
A little bit of dumb drama we had, but
Mm-hmm.
I was glad that happened.
I was going to ask,
Right.
how did you guys get back together? And because I mean, for a while, he was on one side, you was on the other side, y'all doing your separate things. What got you guys back together, back to the Mobb Deep Foundation?
It was pretty much like it wasn't like I called him or he called me. It was like, just stop the BS. You know what I mean? And then through mutual teams, we was in the studio together to do something, and we just started working together, like without saying like, "Yo, my bad, I'm sorry," or whatever. Later on, we would, have a conversation, but we just ended up in the same studio like nothing ever happened, and kind of started working. But addressed the issue later. You know what I mean? And had private, personal conversations.
Now, was it
Yeah,
the
just
in
something
between
happened.
camps that had y'all beefing at that one time, or was it a misunderstanding? Was it something stupid that was like, damn, that shit was just so stupid?
I would just say it was a mix of all of those things. It definitely was a mix. Stupid stuff, misunderstandings, which in groups, you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna say normal, but we in groups, you know what I'm saying, after a while people have differences, and some of them could blow out of proportion, or some of them will stay behind the scenes and you never hear about it. But this is what happened, between me and him, and it was unfortunate, but we reconciled.
That's dope.
They say the deceased connect with you when you sleep. So has he visited you in your dreams?
That's crazy that you say that. I had mad dreams with P, and I always try to figure out what it means. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I can figure out what it means, and sometimes I feel like he visiting me, straight up, word.
So it's old memories and new memories when you dream, or is...
Now it's like current times, like, you know what I mean? Like it'd be like now, like he's there, and it's almost like if he's telling me, like trying to give me a message or something, and I try to figure out what it's about, because sometimes he don't even talk in the dream. He's just there.
Wow.
Now, what are you doing to celebrate the 25th anniversary? I saw there's like a reissue, there's some vinyl. What's going on to celebrate the 25th anniversary?
Yeah, well, Sony is putting out a re-release of the album, 25th anniversary edition, along with some tracks that didn't make the album, but they are
Wow.
because they just they're like first versions of it. It was previously released before, but not combined together in this one package. I'm going to be celebrating and performing live on Caffeine with a few celebrity guests and taking questions from fans and stuff like that. So, we got a little bit of a lineup, as much as we can do.
Where's the official Mobb Deep merchandise at, man? 'Cause I keep looking for that black infamous hoodie with the red writing.
The official Mobb Deep merch is going to come soon. So, right now, I got to organize, things a little bit better, but it'll be coming soon.
Oh,
Whatever happened with the infamous Mobb? Y'all had the group.
Yeah. Nah, they still around. They still chilling. They a little scattered around, but we all come together during, shows and stuff like that. They was at the 25th anniversary for Loud Joint. They was there with me.
dope,
All right,
man.
that's dope. I just remember some funny stories back then when I used to manage Jizza, because obviously y'all were really close with Wu-Tang. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about? And
Nah, but
oh,
Tell us what's going
shootings.
on. Oh, okay. Don't get nobody arrested now. You
No, it won't get anybody arrested. This is a beef that was
Jeesh.
squashed with True Life, because I remember when y'all was, and that's been squashed anyway.
Mobb had
Yeah.
beef with everybody. Mobb Deep had beef with
everybody.
everybody.
hip hop.
Is there any
No,
beef
there
y'all
was
haven't squashed yet, or pretty much all y'all beef was squashed? I know the Jay-Z beef was squashed. I know a lot of the other beefs was squashed.
As far as I know, you know what I'm saying, all the beef, I never really had beef, but I never looked at it like that. It's just little dumb misunderstandings, whatever. I don't got no beef.
Good.
Now I'll tell you this story because nobody will get in trouble for it. But when I used to manage Jizza, he was in the studio with Muggs. It was at Pete Rock Studio, Green Street Studios. And I remember I left with Muggs' manager. We went to go get something to eat, and we came back. And I guess while we were gone, something had happened with True Life's crew in the studio, and it was like, some bullets and stuff like that in the wall.
Yeah, I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like,
I know you weren't there. You weren't there.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I think Alchemist had been there. You know what I mean? And he told me about it, and I was like, wow, it's pretty crazy. It could have went either way.
Yeah, thank God nobody got hurt in that situation. But
Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, that just goes to show how real it could get. Like it could sound like it's hip hop beef with that, but sometimes it could turn into that, and you know where that leads.
Yeah, true.
Right.
All right, Hav. Well, we appreciate you checking in, man, and congratulations on the 25th anniversary of Infamous, man. You have
Thank you.
I mean, that's some of the kids growing up. I know for myself going to high school, that was my record. Charlamagne
Absolutely.
actually put Queensbridge on the side of his hair as a kid, being from South Carolina,
Word.
which is a little weird, but
No, we used to call the hood. I used to hustle in Queensbridge. Rest in peace, my man Jarrell. Like for real, we used to love Mobb Deep.
Okay.
Still love Mobb Deep.
Word.
Yeah,
Thank
it's not
man.
easy to
Thank
make
you.
a classic album like that. And The Infamous, I think, has withstood the test of time and it will continue to do that forever. So there's I would say, not a lot of classic albums that you can listen to 25 years later and be like, this still bumps.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah, we want to see you in one of these versus battles. We got to find a producer to battle you. We got to get one because I want to see.
Y'all pick them. Yeah, y'all pick them for me.
All right. Well, thank you,
Peace,
Hav. We
King.
appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, it's
Yes,
the
sir.
Breakfast Club. Good morning.